So it's finally here, the moment you've all been waiting for. Silver and gold prices are, gold's at an all-time high. Silver, I mean, it's doing obviously very well in spot price. But what does it mean? What does it matter? Again, first and foremost, if you're not selling, then how are you taking advantage of it? Secondly, on the buying side, it just makes it more and more expensive to accumulate. So how do you take advantage of this environment? But secondly, what are the things to watch out for? What are the potential pitfalls if you do try to take advantage of, the higher price environment? So one of the things that I've been thinking about recently is that with gold prices jumping up, I would assume that at coin shops, there's a lot of selling pressure. So people coming in, taking advantage of the spike, kind of looking to liquidate, different amounts of gold, silver, that kind of thing, take advantage of the big spike in price. But what I've seen in actual practice is during times like this, whenever you see price jump up, there's the tendency with the dealers, because again, they make their money on volume, not on, holding it and waiting for prices to jump up. That, it's all about turnover for them. So it's very different for you as an individual stacker who buys this to hold on to it, take advantage of the price environment. Now, if you're selling, what you'll notice is a lot of the, current buyers for precious metals, particularly gold. Obviously, that's going to be the coin shop. Potentially, if you're desperate, you might need to get to a, pawn shop. Don't do that. But the key is when you go in there, you might be shocked to see what they actually offer you for your metal, particularly silver. Gold, I would think, first and foremost, at the very least, you're going to get, a little bit above spot. But with silver, I mean, spot might be the name of the game, particularly at these prices, because dealers are smart. They've seen this a million times. They know that there's a ebb and flow to price, that it's not just going to keep going up. And so they don't want to get caught holding the bag. If I've watched, coin videos long enough, what I've noticed is that the coin dealers across the board talk about how when there's run-ups like this one's actually a pretty interesting kangaroo. This is a 1/4 ounce. When you compare it to something like a maple, the maple's actually a little bit larger than this. This is actually a little bit larger than a 1/10 ounce of gold. It's a little thicker. Pretty close to, I guess, the maple. But the maple's noticeably larger on gold. What you notice with the coin dealers is in this environment, they'll say that, hey, we're not looking to, necessarily, make a killing off of people. But at the same time, we can't get caught with that, that type of inventory. So you see a lot of dealers at prices like this buying for spot, right at spot. The hard part about that is particularly depending on what you're selling. Here's the part that gets lost in translation. Again, we know that many stackers don't sell their stack in the first place, but if they do, there's also some calculus to be done about what is it that you're going to sell. Now, not just, numismatics versus bullion, but also bars versus rounds versus coins. And the key there is, obviously, bars are cheaper per ounce than coins or rounds, especially if you're dealing in weight. So potentially, your first sale should be weight on bars, things like that, to take advantage of, just one big lump sum that you're going to get out of that versus selling the coins because you paid a higher premium for each coin or each round than you did for whatever the weight of the bar is. Now, from the dealer's perspective, the dealer, like I said, if you go in to sell a bar, in my experience, you're pretty much going to get spot, unless it's like a nicer bar. Even then, in an environment like this where you see spot price going up so high, I would assume that they're probably offering spot or a little bit above spot for something like that. Again, take it from their side. They're not looking to, accumulate. They're not looking to make money off of holding it. They're looking to get rid of it. And if they're charging, they're paying you a higher mark, that means they got to find another sucker to buy it off of them. So they're not looking to make those kind of transactions. They're looking to get it at spot and get rid of it. So there's a lot to think about, trying to take advantage of this environment. With prices this high, it makes it really difficult to want to buy. I mean, as with anything, it's harder with gold and silver than it is for stocks or things like that, because there's nothing to point to say, oh, this is why it's going to keep going up. Now, you'll hear plenty of the parrots out there sing the song that, well, look at the national debt, it's keep going up. And yeah, but that's been the case for a long time. It doesn't mean necessarily that, gold and silver, again, and then the parrots are going to sing back that, well, it's never been this bad. Yeah, it's always this bad. It's always this bad. Now, the number keeps going up, but it's the same situation over and over. So get that out of your lexicon of reasons why gold and silver go up. The realities of it are, again, fundamentally, you can point to those things, but in reality, there's no correlation. There really isn't. Now, the big spike in 2020, you could point to that as a one-time event that, hey, you're creating a massive amount of debt. And so, there's a price to be paid for that. The big spike in gold and silver was perhaps due to that. Okay, I'd buy that. But on a more regular basis without a large event like that, I doubt that's the case. So that's the problem. If you're buying right now, particularly, I would say I would be more wary of buying silver at this point at these prices than gold. Gold, I mean, for all its, potential flaws, the reality with gold is the price stays relatively stable. I mean, it moves around for sure, but it just doesn't have the type of volatility that you would see in silver. So if you're buying things like this, like I said, dealing in the 1 ounce coins, things like these, I mean, that's a lot of value locked up in there, right? I mean, what is this right here? Let's see, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. That's a lot of money. I mean, there's a lot of value basically parked in, a small package. Whereas the equivalent in silver would be, a couple 100 ounces. That's quite a big difference. You're not getting out of Dodge with that kind of weight. That is the key. That is the key in this environment, is understanding, where's the value if you're parking that much value in, a small area, something like this, versus, a large amount of silver. Again, even on the selling side, there's a lot to consider there, because, you're in the race to take advantage of the price movement, but you may, pay the price in liquidating something that, the coin dealer is going to make a killing off of. Little things like that, stuff to consider in this environment. I mean, I would assume, honestly, gold, silver go right back down, particularly silver. I wouldn't be surprised to see silver right back at 23, 24 within a month or so. Now, is it going to happen? I have no idea. Just like I have no idea if it's going to go up from here. But as with anything, right? What goes up must come down. And that's always the case with gold and silver, until it doesn't. But does it look like that's the case? That's the likely case now? Probably not.